This is Paul. Yeah, I'm a little upset this morning. I've got a lot of pain in my body. Yes. And it seems to me that there has been a lot of movement over the last 3 decades. Yes. Those in the family were sure they were going to take over the world, and then there are those in the military that thought that we'll just go to war. Pooch. My experience has been because I had spent some time at a man's house named Cliff. He'd been a Marine. He taught grappling to those in the Navy and the Marines. Yes, yes, yes. A larger man that was married to a woman that was in the Navy on Guam. Now, what happens is a lot of those in the military, they get, well, restationed in different locations. Yes, they do. And I found it interesting that the property management service that moves people in the military had moved him in a house right next door to a guy that had about 30 to 40 German Shepherds. Pooch, 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 pooch. Now, I trusted Cliff. I did like him as a man. I had met him at Bayview Community Church. Yes. But I found it interesting that the military's personnel was being moved to locations so that they could be sewn into with some of the most perverted pornographic bestiality probably ever made. Now, when I got to the place, oh my gosh, I told Cliff those people are not my friends. And it seemed to me that the Navy and the Air Force had a good hard look at why they had so many dogs. Dogs! Seemed to me they were making bestiality smut films next door. Now, I have a real sensitivity to the spiritual. Yes. And Cliff said, well, you're sensitive to these things. And I said, yeah, I really am. It was kind of odd how Cliff and his wife, they left the house to ourselves for those 3 or 4 days and kind of played along in the show. But as a dad, I did not like my sons being anywhere near any sort of evil. Now, I thought about getting involved in these relocation companies that relocate military personnel, and I could be the guy that drives the Lincoln Town Car around and shows them different places, and then I could sew into them and pooch, pow! And I could, my gosh. Now, I'm going to need to know every executive service that provides relocation services for every executive and all military personnel. Because it seemed to me that the Fish family of bestiality liked to be able to sew into those in the military that had no fucking idea what the fuck was going on. I'm going to need to know every executive housing service everywhere in the world. Every property that's being property managed for executives that get corporations to pay for their relocation. And it just so happens they relocate them in either Fish family property or property right next to those that happen to be such nice neighbors, but really they're in the top secret torture family. Now, if you could, okay, give me all the executive relocation services throughout the world, every corporation that has relocated any of their employees for the last 30 fucking years, and every relocation service that has relocated any member of the United States military or any military throughout the world. I'd like to know why the fuck they moved there. Now, As that American citizen that was always looking for a good job. Wouldn't it have been fun to get to talk to those new Navy or Air Force personnel that moved to Guam and show them the different places they could be living, and then set them up so they ended up living right next door to a bunch of German shepherd Nazi bestiality fish family members that thought it was okay to destroy the United States of America. Now, 30 years of executive relocation services, 30 years of military relocation services. I just wanted to know who were their neighbors when they got relocated. Oh, and every signature on every application.